You're spoiled by choice if you're shopping for a new compact crossover SUV for your family. There are well more than a dozen offered by mainstream automakers, and that's before you get into the truly dizzying array of available powertrains and trims. Gas? Hybrid? Electric? Plug-in hybrid? A hot, sporty version? Something a bit more white bread? How's a buyer to choose? When faced with option paralysis, it helps to artificially limit those choices. So let's do just that with two of Motor Trend's favorite family-friendly compact SUVs, the gas-powered versions of the 2023 Hyundai Tucson and 2023 Kia Sportage. Which one is the better buy? We gathered up the range-topping 2022 Tucson Limited AWD, identical to the 2023 model, and 2023 Sportage X Pro Prestige to find out. Similarly, if you get your daily thrills by flat-footing your car's throttle, our test numbers also suggest you look elsewhere. Each of the 187 horses in these two 3,700-pound porkers moves about 20 pounds, making them roughly as quick as an airport TSA line. Both SUVs run from 0 to 60 miles per hour in a glacial 9.3 seconds, and if bragging rights are what you're after, know the Sportage just edges the Tucson in the quarter mile, posting a 16.9-second run at 82.1 miles per hour compared to the Hyundai's run of 17.0 seconds at 83.6 miles per hour. Thanks to its tire advantage, the Hyundai Tucson makes up ground in our braking and handling tests, stopping from 60 miles per hour in 118 feet and lapping our Figure 8 course in 27.4 seconds at 0.61 grams average. The Sportage's best performance was 128 feet from 60 miles per hour and a 27.9-second lap at 0.58 grams. If it matters to you, we're confident a Sportage on street tires would match the Hyundai's performance. Neither vehicle is particularly efficient for the compact SUV class. The Sportage is rated at 23/28/25 of a mile per gallon city/highway/combined, while the Tucson nets 24/29/26 of a mile per gallon. The competing Honda CR-V and Nissan Rogue achieve 27/32/29 of a mile per gallon and 28/35/31 of a mile per gallon, respectively. You can have your cake and eat it too with the hybrid and plug-in hybrid, PHEV, versions of both SUVs, both of which are significantly quicker and more efficient. The biggest mechanical difference between the two SUVs is the Kia Sportage X Pro's 17-inch wheels and all-terrain tires. Those tires will likely improve ride comfort on the road, perhaps at some expense braking distance, handling, and noise. If you're trying to decide between these two SUVs and you prioritize off-road performance, look elsewhere. The Tucson's 19.6/19.5/26.7 degree approach/breakover/departure angles best the Sportage X Pro's 18.9/19.0/26.6 degree ratings, but both are car-like. Again, unless you're a glutton for punishment, neither vehicle is capable of much more than your average national park dirt trail. On the open road, both Korean compact SUVs continue to deliver fairly underwhelming performance. The Hyundai Tucson is the more car-like of the two. Its driving position feels ever so slightly lower than the Kia's, and its steering feels heavier so it initially seems more direct than it really is. The Hyundai's ride is firmer, sending reverberations from each and every impact right up into the driver's seat. The Kia Sportage, on the other hand, feels more like a traditional SUV from inside. The low road traction of its off-road rubber gives the Kia's steering a somewhat charmingly loose, light feel, while the extra squish from its tires helps smooth out the Sportage's ride compared to the Hyundai S. Unfortunately, neither compact SUV has much going on under the hood. The buzzy 2.5-liter engines are loud, thrashy, and agricultural. Both manufacturers try to mask the lack of power with aggressive throttle tip in tuning for accelerating away from a stop, but the Sportage and Tucson struggle when passing slower traffic on a highway or uphill, a trait bound to get worse when loaded up for a weekend drive with the whole family. The Kia, though, makes up some ground with its transmission tuning. Its 8-speed automatic shifts aren't exactly timely, but the Sportage's transmission changes gear quicker than the Hyundai's does. It isn't afraid to hold lower gears for longer, either, keeping the Sportage's engine in the meat of its power band. The Hyundai Tucson, on the other hand, has a tendency to race to the highest possible gear as quickly as possible, and it's reluctant to downshift until the driver really digs into the throttle. That makes the Tucson much more difficult to drive smoothly than the Sportage. Both offer up sport, smart, and eco drive modes, but none drastically change the vehicle's behavior. The Hyundai Tucson and Kia Sportage offer near identical passenger and cargo space, but as with their sheet metal, they take drastically different paths in how they utilize that space. If minimalism is your thing, the Tucson will likely feel right at home. Its cabin is simple and stylish. Understated, even. Up front, Metallic grille-like accents flow from the doors, past the twin freestanding 10.3-inch instrument cluster and infotainment screens, the former of which combines with the oddly shaped steering wheel spokes to look like an emoji, and across the rest of the cabin. Below the infotainment display sits a smaller alarm clock-style display for the HVAC system, flanked by capacitive buttons. A wireless phone charger is situated beneath. Though we generally like the Tucson's cabin, there's certainly room for improvement. The capacitive buttons on the center stack and center console are unresponsive and difficult to use while driving. The push-button transmission on the center console also takes up more real estate than it needs to, wasting space that might be better used for storage cubbies or additional cup holders. Whereas the Hyundai's cabin is somewhat cold in its modernity, the Kia's is warm and welcoming in comparison. The Sportage's stylish and thoughtfully designed interior features wood and metal accents, meaty D-ring-like door handles, and two massive 12.3-inch curved displays, one for the instrument cluster and one for the infotainment system. Kia hasn't forgotten functionality, either. The Sportage has a larger wireless charging slot than the Tucson, and its cup holders feature ingenious sliders that transform the space into a large cubby when not occupied by drinks. The Sportage's sole interior miss is its dual-function digital HVAC/media display. Although it looks great and cleverly saves space, it's a better idea in theory than in practice. It requires the driver to look away from the road to confirm whether the controls are in the media or HVAC setting, lest you accidentally crank the volume when trying to turn up the heat, and without haptic feedback you're left guessing as to whether you've accurately hit the system's other soft buttons. With regard to passenger comfort and space, the Sportage and Tucson are equals, though one editor noted the plastic trim on the Hyundai's front seat backs poked him in the back while driving. The Kia Sportage's superior interior design and slightly better road manners make the $1,750 premium over the Hyundai Tucson easy to overlook, but it's worth examining both pricing structures a little more closely. Our loaded Kia Sportage X Pro Prestige test vehicle slotted in at $39,255, and our loaded Hyundai Tucson Limited stickered for $37,505 as tested. The off-road Focus Sportage X Pro, however, doesn't match up directly with the Tucson Limited. The Road Focus Sportage SX Prestige AWD does. That model, which forgoes all-terrain tires and some bits of off-roady trim, is otherwise identical to the X Pro and can be had comparably equipped for $37,755, just $50 more than the Hyundai. While we're talking money, we should also talk briefly about the hybrid and PHEV versions of the Hyundai and Kia. The Tucson Hybrid Limited offers up to 226 horsepower and nets 37/36/37ths of a mile per gallon for $40,455 when equipped identically to our gas-powered Tucson Limited. The Tucson PHEV has 261 horsepower and can travel on electricity alone for 33 miles for $44,690 when identically equipped before any potential EV incentives. It's a similar story for the Sportage. The 227 horsepower Sportage Hybrid SX Prestige gets 38/38/38ths of a mile per gallon and stickers for $37,753. The Sportage X-Line PHEV, basically an X Pro with bigger wheels and street tires, has 261 horsepower and can clear 34 miles before the gas engine fires up. That version stickers for $44,960 before incentives. Both the Tucson and Sportage hybrids offer more refined performance and significantly better fuel economy than the base gas versions we tested here. They're undoubtedly better buys. As for these two SUVs, the win goes to the 2023 Kia Sportage. We appreciate the Tucson's styling and space, but we can't get over the unrefined driving experience. We know Hyundai can build a better compact SUV. While the Sportage suffers from the same powertrain woes as does the Tucson, the Kia helps us look past it, thanks to its slightly improved ride, superior transmission tuning, and stylish cabin. Sometimes it helps to limit your choices. In this case, we recommend sampling the whole segment before committing to one of these two compact SUVs. And we've already done just that. Stay tuned. Evrika Channel.